Hey Anderson, how you doing? Luke Radowski of WRC.
I can't do anything.
I just really quickly just wanted
very much.
Hey sir,
Hey man,
it's
how you doing?
amazing to meet you.
Thanks.
just wanted to know what you think of German reporter Off Ote, who said the CIA bribed him and extorted him to publish news stories. Have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird, Anderson? Operation Mockingbird, Mr. Anderson? It's a very serious question, Mr. Anderson. Do you have any comment on your knowledge of Operation Mockingbird?
I'm sorry.
So Anderson, what influence do you think the CIA has when it comes to mainstream media?
Dude, you're being just ridiculous.
I mean, it's time to ask really the hard questions. Because there is a Western pro-government slant when it comes to mainstream media. We see that when we see coverage of Putin and Assad, but not coverage of the human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. Have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird? Operation Mockingbird, have you ever heard of the declassified CIA program to manipulate the news and mainstream media? So Anderson Cooper has 3 security guards all around him now, making sure people can't engage in a conversation when it comes to very important matters, like the manipulation of our news by government officials. Are you silent about this because of your CIA past, Anderson? Is it because you were in the CIA during college, Anderson? Can we get just one statement from you? We just made Anderson Cooper hide in his car because he couldn't face questions about really important issues like him training to be a CIA officer when he was in college. And as we know, under Operation Mockingbird, CIA officials have infiltrated the mainstream media in the 60s. There's a German journalist, a very prominent one, Udolfshoff, and he came out just a few months ago and he said the CIA is still continuing this program, openly manipulating, openly writing the scripts for the mainstream media. As we see by their biased coverage, they're just another branch of the government, another mouthpiece of propaganda, and they can't even face up to real questions when asked eye to eye, man to man, and they just run around their private security guards and hide in their cars. Anderson Cooper has 8 security guards here. 8.
Hey, thanks for stopping by today as we continue with part 3 of TV news, how they trick you. Before I jump in, make sure that you smash the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber. And please make sure that you share the content or the channel to anybody who you think will find the information helpful or beneficial or even interesting. So I won't take too much of your time today. I just want to do less of me talking and more of me showing you how the news media, how they trick, manipulate, fool, and falsify information and why they do it. I remember, and so this whole thing about the Operation Mockingbird and a lot of the other operations that they ran, I learned this stuff back in college, well over 15 years ago, and I remember I used to always talk to my friends about it. I also remember getting to debates and arguments with my friends because they wouldn't believe me. You know, a lot of stuff, if it's not on TV media, then it's not gospel, it's not truth. You know, the news is the truth to a lot of people, 100%. And if it doesn't make CNN, Fox, BBC, or whatever, then they discount it. And of course, they discounted a lot of things that I've said. And we're just going to continue on this rabbit hole to show you how the manipulations and all of the technology that they do it for a reason, and that is government sponsored. So today I want to focus on Anderson Cooper. I remember when I first found out that Anderson Cooper came from the CIA, and I told people at my job, hey, that guy Anderson Cooper from CNN, you know, that guy used to work at the CIA. They were like, what? Nah, they didn't believe it. And even when I showed them proof, they still didn't believe it. And that's something else. Sometimes people are so warped and so, you know, so deep in the matrix, even when you show them proof, they still don't believe the proof. But anyway, less of me. Let's get down to it. I went to Wikipedia and I pulled this up. As you can see on the screen, this is a profile of Anderson Cooper. And when you scroll down here to where it says early career, I'll read it for you in case you can't see it. I'll blow it up a little bit. It says Anderson Cooper. All right, here we go. During college, Cooper spent 2 summers as an intern at the Central Intelligence Agency while studying political science. He pursued journalism with no formal journalistic education. So he's working at the CIA as an intern, studying political science, and pursuing journalism? Operation Mockingbird at its finest. Now, of course, you can look up Wikipedia and find Anderson Cooper's background. He's a Vanderbilt, like the college down south, Vanderbilt University. That's his family, that's his people. So he's a rich, wealthy kid. Came from the Vanderbilt, Cornelius Vanderbilt. He's tied into that clan. So he already grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, working at the CIA and doing a whole bunch of stuff. Now, he's the guy on CNN delivering your news to you every night if you watch CNN religiously, like a lot of people do. But let's dive into this Operation Mockingbird so you can see how not just CNN or ABC or CBS or NBC, but pretty much all major newspapers and TV media have been infiltrated by agencies, by officers and agents from these intelligence agencies, and they're the ones who are bringing you your news. So that's why when you have like 9/11 attacks, you have school shootings and things like that, things never add up. The eyewitnesses at the scene will be like, no, it was 3 or 4 guys, and the news media say, no, it was a lone gunman. And they'll give you a completely different story, and they'll focus on gun control and taking the guns. But it's crazy, but let's get to it.
A comment on Operation Mockingbird, possibly?
What?
Operation Mockingbird?
What's Mockingbird?
It's a CIA operation that infiltrates mainstream media and tries to control that. It's declassified.
As you described it,
under
I
the
don't
Freedom
see
of Information Act.
As you described.
Yeah. This great image problem led America's Nazis into initiating Operation Mockingbird, an ongoing policy of using the colossal wealth they were now amassing from drugs and weapons sales to buy up as many TV and film companies, newspapers, and local and national radio stations as they could lay their hands on, to the point where by the 1970s they were proudly boasting that everyone of any significance in the media is CIA.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Virtually every well-known journalist, newspaper editor, and television presenter became a secret CIA agent, as did many entertainers and film stars. The question now was how best to use trusted public figures like Walter Cronkite. And this was how the first investigative documentaries about the Kennedy assassination came to be made. It will come as a terrific shock to those who have sought truth and solace in these many films, feature articles, and TV specials, to learn that every last one of them, including Oliver Stone's JFK, was actually produced by the CIA. It's a truth you'll never hear on NBC or BBC.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, yeah, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Another major story that we uncovered was the whole range of CIA media operations throughout the world. We did an analysis of these operations and the use of money, very large-scale money. It's thought between 1/3 and 40% of the CIA's budget. And I should say that that budget figure is the biggest secret that there is in Washington today. At that time, it was estimated that the 1978 budget was in the range of $1.5 billion. A more recent estimate by a military journal, not a liberal journal by any means, estimated that the CIA's budget today is in the range of $10 billion. At any rate, this analysis that we made of the CIA's media operations disclosed, among other things, that they deliver through CIA couriers ready to print or ready to broadcast news, and I put that in inverted commas, which is used by the media. And this is created by the CIA.
How often does the CIA manipulate the media in this way, plant stories, get their views in the media? Is this fairly common as a modus operandi for the CIA?
It goes beyond your, in the course of the past 30 years, it goes beyond your wildest imagination, the extent to which the CIA has gone to manipulate public opinion. If you include the MH Chaos program, which was $1 billion program of setting up proprietary companies, setting up student organizations so they could draw radical students in and do every kind of duplicitous manipulation of national student movements, press, propaganda, labor, extensive formation of labor unions, funding of major labor unions, with the objective essentially of manipulating the mind and attitudes of workers throughout the nation and the world. This was the essential tool that they used to destabilize Chile and overthrow Allende, was of course making the economy scream, getting to the military officers, but it was essentially the truckers union that finally brought the country down and justified, quote, justified Pinochet's takeover of power. 5,000 university professors they've co-opted. This is Church Committee revelations. I'm not making this up. It's in print. Church Committee's revelations. 5,000 university professors co-opted to help the CIA manipulate people's minds. 400 journalists in the U.S., including big-name journalists. Now, that's a big chunk of the prominent journalists co-opted to function routinely to help the CIA put out its stories and biases to the world.
It's a truth you'll never hear on NBC or BBC.
Got a couple more calls then. Let's hear from Dan in Georgetown, Massachusetts. Dan, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for having me on this morning. One thing I realized at a young age with politics in this country is that you can't really listen to what people say. It's a lot of nonsense in there. You have to look at actions, what actually happened. And I think if people kind of put their personal feelings behind and just focused on what happens, we'd be a lot better off. I feel there's a lot of personal hatred to Trump, which to me just falls in the category of hatred. You have to look at what has happened. Let's do a little comparison of our last two presidents and how they started off. Trump is out of the atmosphere as far as how well he's doing compared to the last two presidents, if you look at things side by side. That's one point. A previous caller mentioned something very important that you guys completely brushed over, and that's something that was slipped into the 2012 NDAA. It was the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act. And what this has done is open the floodgates for the media to basically lie to us if it's in the best interest of the government. So what we're witnessing here is the deep state aligned with media, and they have a free pass. We're A lot of questionable things happening in this country. We got mass shootings. I'm sorry to say, these things are questionable. And under this law, the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act, in reality, the government could be working with media to deceive us, and it's legal. Talk about the rescinding of the Smith-Mundt Act, please.
Dan, we'll let you go there. Dan in Massachusetts. Eleanor Clift, any thoughts on what you heard?
I think that sounds to be like a conspiracy theory that's alive and well. I'm not going to comment on it.
Cheryl Chumley?
I'm not familiar with that particular act, but I will say that back in the 1950s, there was that whole Operation Mockingbird thing, which was never formally confirmed by the CIA. But of course, that was the operation where CIA operatives worked with U.S. media to shape the messages that came out of the media, and it was purportedly supposed to have hit at hundreds of journalists and reporters. And that's something that has been reported and used in different terms.
What was the message that they were trying to get across in this?
It varied. It went on for years, and it wasn't
Okay.
just domestic, but it was also to slant and shape how government officials worked with foreign officials as well. But don't take my word for it. Look it up.
Well,
It
we
was
have
part
aspects of the government, the USIA and Voice of America, that transmit American values abroad.
I only bring it up
I think
because you
is fine
say
within
conspiracy theorist
well, that's
as
what
if
that
it's
sounded
ridiculous.
Like. Well,
but
he
at the
was
same
tying
time,
mass shootings. He was tying mass shootings with the media and government interference to fool the American folk.
Right, and
which
you were
sounds to me
dismissing
like a lot
theories
of
as if
connecting of
conspiracy
dots.
theories as if they're ridiculous, but there are some things that our government has been involved in, including our deep state type government officials that have been recorded in history and proven.
Well, we have a moment or
So it
two. Let's
happens.
get
And therefore, that gives credence to what you
let's
said
wrap up
about
with a
the
call
deep
or
state.
two here.
No,
Let's
it doesn't
get
give
from
credence, but
Eddie
means
in
he
Millbury,
shouldn't be just
Massachusetts.
randomly dismissed.
Let's get one more. Eddie and Millbury.
Anderson Cooper, the face of CNN, has a secret. No, not that secret. Everybody in the television industry pretty much knows that he is gay. So's Don Lemon at CNN, by the way. I'm talking about his CIA secret. Few people know that for 2 summers during college, not 1, but 2, he interned with the Central Intelligence Agency. Oh, that's right. Right there in Langley, Virginia. Oh, it was for a program for students interested in intelligent work. That's right. Few people know this until Radar Online posted this still little-known article prompting Anderson Cooper to post on his blog denying that they had their facts straight, but admitting that he did, in fact, intern with the CIA. Do I need to remind you about Operation Mockingbird, the admitted, authentic CIA program that was uncovered in a congressional hearing in 1975 where it was confirmed that the CIA was paying $1 billion a year in today's dollars to almost all major heads, editors, reporters, talking heads of the major media outlets to act as propagandists and gatekeepers for the establishment? Yes. Oh, I'm sure that CNN just doesn't have anything to do with the CIA anymore. Oh, wait, what's this? As Phil Mickelson said, Sig Mickelson, the former president of CBS, when he was once asked if the CIA still maintained relationships with reporters, he answered, yeah, I would probably think that for a reporter it would probably continue today. But because of all the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me a reporter has to be a lot more circumspect when doing it, or he runs the risk of it being at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it. Oh, that's right. Oh, by the way, back 14 years ago now, in the year 2000, NPR and CNN had to admit that the U.S. Army's Psychological Operations Unit had infiltrated CNN and NPR in the 1990s with interns. That's right, and then after news was revealed, then they fired those interns. Oh.
So there you have it. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's in your Bible. John 8:32. So next time you're watching TV news, and I'm not saying don't watch it or anything, but just know next time you are watching TV news, it doesn't matter if it's CNN or CBS or NBC or the BBC or MSNBC, it doesn't matter. What you're reading in the Washington Post or the New York Times and a lot of that stuff, just know that a lot, not all, but a lot of those journalists and a lot of those talking heads on TV are actually paid agents of these intelligence agencies. So make sure you keep that in mind. So when they're trying to get you to stand in line and get the shot in your arm, I can't say the word, but you know what I'm talking about. Or there's some mass shooting, a school shooting, and they're trying to convince you of gun control. You know, we should take away the guns. Or they're trying to convince you of whatever bombing or attack or whatever's going on. Just know that the people that's bringing you the news work for government and intelligence agencies. And they are not telling you the truth. They're covering up the truth and moving you into a certain agenda or moving you down a certain way or a certain continuum. It is what it is. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's about all I have for today. Stay tuned for the next part. Until next time, thank you, take care, God bless.